It's Friday, April 22nd, 2011, and you're watching This Week in Linux News. I've got to leave town pretty soon to go spend the weekend with my family, so we're going to make this quick. A couple of distros had updates this week. Fedora 15's beta became available, and Mandriva Beta 2 is now available. I received an email from the creator of Zorin OS saying that they're working on a new PC based around Zorin OS. Zorin OS, if you're not familiar with it, is an Ubuntu-based distribution that's sort of made to look and feel a little bit like Windows. Of the people that I've talked to that have used it, they are huge fans, and I just haven't had a time to look at it yet. But the device itself is basically a netbook with a rotating tablet screen on it. The pricing appears to be about $650 to $700 shipped to the US, a little bit less than that perhaps to other parts of the world. Moving right along, this week Yahoo officially joined the Linux Foundation. This move is an effort to maximize the company's Linux investment and to help give back to the community. They're going to be working on virtualization, cloud computing, and some legal topics such as open compliance. One way or another, it is an excellent sight to see a large company making a large investment in Linux and moving in that direction, promoting Linux and helping out the community. But speaking of companies involved in Linux, it's not all sunshine and roses. This week, Google officially lost a patent lawsuit that was started back in 2009 related to Linux. And along with that, Google has been ordered to pay $5 million to this Bedrock Computer Technologies company. From the article, they kind of make it sound like this Bedrock company is a patent troll more than anything because they're targeting a ton of other companies like Amazon and PayPal and MySpace. But since they did lose this Linux-related lawsuit, a lot of people are speculating that this could be the beginning of the end as far as some other lawsuits, the Oracle lawsuit that's going on specifically. Of course, as I look further down the article, I see the name Florian Mueller again, and a lot of that is discredited in my mind, but I just thought I'd go ahead and throw the information out there so you guys knew about it. Moving on to a little bit of gaming-related news. A little less than a year ago, we talked about the possibility of Steam coming to Linux from Valve Software. Well, just this week, Portal 2 released, as I'm sure you guys know, and someone on the Phoronix forums took a look at the Mac client and noticed that it also has the Linux client information in it as well. Now, if you remember correctly, we all know how the Steam for Linux thing panned out. Nothing actually has happened at this point. It could be that they're just taking their time, or they're getting everything prepared to just do a massive rollout. I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed for that one, but we'll just see what happens in the coming year. Let's not get our hopes up over it, but it would be very, very nice to see something like Portal coming to Linux. In some other gaming news, we talked before several times about the Humble Frozen Byte bundle that's currently going on and might be off by the time that you've seen this video. As a part of that bundle, there are two games called Shadowgrounds, and the company Frozen Byte has decided they're going to go ahead and open source both of those games. Of course, the Humble Frozen Byte bundle has brought in over $700,000 already, and it's likely they're open sourcing it just to go ahead and try to boost sales before the bundle ends. Along with open sourcing those games, they've released a playable sneak preview of the Splot game, the one that was completely unavailable with the bundle before, and a level editor for Trine. And let's wrap things up talking about some Android news. Last week we talked briefly about the Skype on Android vulnerability issue, where a lot of the information could very easily be accessed by other applications on the Android platform. Well, to remedy that situation, Skype has released an official update to Skype for Android into the Google Marketplace. This addresses the vulnerability of all the files being readable and writable, and as an added bonus, they've enabled nationwide 3G calling here in the US, which is something that Verizon customers had already, but it is very nice to see them offering this up as sort of a token, oops, we made a mistake, so here, have something awesome. However, this does not affect the leaked Skype with video that we got from the HTC Thunderbolt, so if you are running that, definitely keep in mind that it is still vulnerable. In other Android news, and in a bit of a facepalm in my opinion, Apple has decided they're going to sue Samsung over the Galaxy Tab. The funny thing about the lawsuit, though, is not that they're infringing on a patent by taking something blatantly, it's that they're copying interface styling. So it's not really that Samsung has taken anything from Apple, it's that they've taken inspiration from Apple and made something similar, and Apple seems to think that they're entitled. An Apple spokeswoman was quoted as saying, "This kind of blatant copying is wrong." Well, Samsung has decided to respond in kind by filing countersuits in South Korea, Germany, and Japan for Apple actually infringing on 10 of Samsung's patents. Those patents all being 3G and wireless related. Moving on to yet other Android news, there were a few devices that received updates to newer versions of Android this week. We talked about the source code for the Samsung Fascinate's version of Froyo being open sourced last week. The official build of Froyo from Verizon is now available for the Samsung Fascinate. Additionally, T-Mobile has released Froyo for the Motorola Defy, and there's even a leaked version of Gingerbread version 2.3.3 for the Galaxy Ace, which is a European-only model. So if you have one of those devices, it might be worth looking into an over-the-air update, or if you've got the Galaxy Ace, looking into the leaked ROM if you're interested in that. And the last thing I'd like to mention today, if you own a Palm Pre, you might be a little bit disappointed with WebOS on it just because there haven't really been much in terms of updates, and the performance is a little bit slow. That's just the experience I've seen and heard about from a friend of mine who has a Palm Pre. Well, if you've ever been interested in trying out Android on your Palm Pre, the people over at PreCentral.net have released a couple of posts talking about how to dual boot between WebOS and Android 2.3 Gingerbread. From what I can tell, it's still sort of an early build, but it did look like it was working pretty well in the test video they showed. But that's all I've got for you today, and it does lead me to the question of the day for you guys. More and more we're seeing Apple sue these companies for trademark infringements or just general sort of copying infringements. How long do you think it's going to be before they start coming after Canonical for making Ubuntu look a little bit more like Mac? Because there are so many people that are claiming that Ubuntu's 11.04 Unity client looks so much like Mac. Additionally, can you think of any other companies that Apple might be going after next? That's all for today, though. Have a great weekend, guys. If you do celebrate the Easter holiday, have a wonderful Easter with your family. If you don't, just have a wonderful weekend one way or another. Thank you so much for watching, though, and I will see you next time.